All right, let's go to the news.
Yeah, we have a lot of news this week. And breaking news tonight, Novogratz, we're going to get to that in a moment. First, let's go ahead and talk about Thomas's arbitration article, which we mentioned with him just briefly. You know, Carl, the corrupt candidate, and Vinny, the vapid voter. So basically, Thomas, he wrote a story about blockchain vote buying and corruption, and he goes through it. He explained it himself pretty well, but basically, you do not want to buy votes. You can have your funds frozen or even taken away through arbitration. All kinds of reasons why it's a bad idea. And he just lays it out very clearly in the Medium article. What were your thoughts on that there, Blue Jays?
It's a well laid out article, and I encourage everyone to just go on and just look through it and think about this situation and how EOS is going to have this arbitration branch, and it's going to have these levels of government, like people have mentioned before, that can prevent corruption. And that's what it's all about. It's like Thomas mentioned before, we are the chain of the rule of law. So, right?
Yeah, this is the. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say this is the first attempt really on blockchain to have this kind of governance. Excuse me. So we are kind of the first guinea pigs trying this out, and it will be a messy process most likely. We're going to learn a lot as we go. But we're trying to avoid as many complications as possible. And one of those things, I feel like a watchdog group is going to be a big deal, because you'll have all these backdoor deals possibly that could happen, you know, where A pays B and then B to C and C to D, a very complicated web that needs to be unwound. I just feel like that could become an issue, and we need very good watchdogs on the chain that can sort of unroot these things and be paid some kind of reward or ransom. I suppose maybe a worker proposal will exist for those kind of ransoms, maybe, or those funds will be confiscated and given to the watchdog group. Who knows? It's always
The tools are there for all of these things to happen, so it's going to be exciting to see. The tools are laid out.
as always. Yeah, governance is an ongoing. It's one of those things where we could just discuss it. Actually, I pulled up the governance channel today, EOS.io Gov, 550 new messages.
Yeah.
I just started scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and we all know that feeling, right? So if you want more debate on arbitration or any kind of governance, go ahead and go to the EOS.io Gov channel. You will have your appetite whetted over there, for sure. Let's move over to Tesloop. Now, they have announced this week, Tesloop, we should clarify right up front, it's Tesloop, and they're not related directly to Tesla. What Tesloop is doing is they're a separate company, and they're taking Teslas, and they're, I believe it's kind of like Uber, possibly eventually an automated Uber, but for right now, probably just by drivers. And basically, Tesloop is offering an Uber-like service with Teslas, I guess, right? And so they're going to put the Teslas on the blockchain as well. What did you take away from this announcement?
Yes, it's like a ride sharing service, and the founder wants to use EOS to be able to create that market between renting the rides. So I don't think there's actually going to be real Teslas on the blockchain, but at least there will be the functioning software. It will make it happen on EOS, and that's just exciting to see. Some people in Silicon Valley, I'm expecting which they're from, to look at EOS in this way to help fulfill their solutions.
And I think automatic ride sharing for cars that self-drive, it'll be an interesting, we're talking probably 10 years in the future, possibly. But I've heard before, and this is kind of unrelated to blockchain, but I've heard that possibly in the future we will be riding in cars, we're just paying a monthly lease fee to some company, right? And then we basically hail a car whenever we need it, and it will just show up in our driveway, and then we hop in and drive around. Our cars, 90% of the time, our cars go unused and sit in the driveway, right? And it's just a waste of resources, waste of money. And so it'd be far more efficient to have these cars constantly running. It'd be a network owned by a company. It'd be cheaper for us as well, so on and so forth. I think a lot of us enjoy driving our own cars, so the self-driving thing is not totally welcome, but you could probably get more stuff done if you really felt like being on Telegram while riding in your Tesla on the Tesloop network. So I guess we'll see how that all works out. Let's go on to Dawn 3.0, right? The big news of the week. Yep. It was just unbelievable, the whole announcement, the rebrand. So let's start with the rebrand, okay? We talked last week about the website. Remember? Yep. You brought it up. And you said, it started off dark with Dawn 1.0, it went a little bit lighter, Dawn 2.0. Dawn 3.0, they rebranded the whole thing, right? So it's EOS.io. It looks like Apple now. They have this beautiful white website. It's very professional. It's beautiful. It's meant to attract businesses, I believe. They've more and more so, they've talked about attracting companies that are already in technology, Silicon Valley and those other big areas, and try to bring them into blockchain and allow those companies to innovate and then build killer applications that will bring the customers, right?
Yeah.
Because it really does. It starts from the top and works its way down. So for starting with the rebrand there, Blue Jays, what were your thoughts?
Well, I knew they were going to lighten it up, but that was just crazy. It's just they totally did a rebrand, like you said, and it looks great. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see one color in there, but then again, I'm not a designer, so
Yeah, you're also not a Silicon Valley company that
yeah.
is trying to learn about EOS and goes, "Oh, this is a nice looking professional website. I think I'll work with these guys." So
Yeah.
we wanted a nice bright sunshine. Sun. We're talking about the sun in the corner, and he's got his big smile on, looking down on the children playing. Turns out, I guess that's not the way they want it to go.
Businesses
No,
don't like, working at the beach.
I mean, I guess I'm clearly not a business, right? Because I want to be at the beach. So, and let's go on to the technicals here. So, of course, Dan released the article. He surprised everybody by putting out Dawn 3.0 a day early, which I suppose technically was actually the day of in Hong Kong. He put it out the 5th of April for us in the United States, but it was actually probably the early morning of the 6th of April. And he released a long medium post describing all of the amazing features.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Jays, can you take us through some of them that you saw?
So what stood out to me, and I think it stood out to many people, especially if you guys haven't caught the segment earlier on with Eric Coel, was the inter-blockchain communication feature, which is it's basically meant to expand the resources of the network to scale to any type of resource needs that we're going to require from a DApp. And to do that while not breaking the ecosystem, while not breaking the tokens that are available across all of those different expansionary areas. So that requires basically a token to go from one network to another chain, and that's that inter-blockchain communication. And the team has made that happen by including headers on each transaction, so that they mean something and they can be unique across different chains, but also be auditable as well. So that is something big in the space, and I think it's amazing. It's almost as if somebody, like, and I asked this to Eric Coel, is that they definitely knew that this feature was invented for the need. So necessity is a mother of invention, and that's exactly what happened here. So
Yeah, definitely. And he called it the Holy Grail in his post,
Dan
the
did,
Holy
yeah.
Grail of scalability.
Yeah.
And if it does work out, and he also recommended in the post that block producer candidates should advertise how many concurrent chains they can run, right? So you have a lot of horsepower behind one chain, but also how many other chains can you spin up and communicate with? And that's going to be a key feature. A lot of the post, there were so many different parts to it, but a lot of it was just about the performance that EOS will provide, or the EOS IO software will provide. And also we talked a little bit about the BIOS architecture, which, as you referred to, only one token is needed to control all of those other chains that the block producers are offering. And therefore you have one token for the governance. Eric Coel talked about it a little bit as well. And he also Dan brought up the security delayed transactions. And so basically, if someone is trying to steal your tokens from you, you can freeze your account, so the tokens are not actually taken from you. Furthermore, I believe if you lose access to your account, you can have it frozen, and then there's a 30-day delay to where you get access back to your account as well.
Interesting.
So basically, he's talking about how time is one of the most important security features when it comes to losing funds or trying to gain them back, because a hacker will want to take the funds and then automatically transfer them somewhere else to exchange and so on and so forth.
So Kevin, like, all of these news comes up. It goes back to what Thomas says about this being the rule of law chain. So all of these tools make that happen. I think we get used to the old Wild West of cryptocurrency, where you send something to the wrong address, you lose your private key, and it's the Wild West. And now we have something that's, the new rebrand. It's just clear as day. It's brand new. It's the rule of law, and that's going to clear up a lot of things and make it easier for grandma to come onto the chain, and your mom and dad and everybody, because they know it's protected and audit and transparent.
Sure. Yeah. And not only that, but you have these large companies that will get involved with the EOS software, and those companies they already know about how to work with users and how to encourage users to get on there. And so they'll purposely build their dApps to be as user-friendly as possible, which will bring grandma in there, and she won't have to worry about her time lock tokens. Maybe we don't know yet how that will all look. I mean, perhaps there will be some level of centralization still, I'm sure, where the dApp will want to help users with that kind of stuff. There'll be a customer support area probably. And whenever you have something with money, there's got to be some customer support.
Yep.
Someone for you to call and say, hey, I just lost my money. What the heck is going on? Right.
Yeah.
So I still suspect there will be banks. This is all just speculation at this point, but I'm thinking there will probably be some little banking service that will help with that kind of stuff. Here's quick access back to your tokens while we help you unlock the ones that got stolen from 30, that so on and so forth. Going back to Dan's post. So he talked about the interblockchain communication, which he has confirmed will be available at launch in June. It is not currently available, I believe, on Dawn 3.0. Also, the block.one testnet is going to be started back up again on May 4th.
Yep.
The same day as the new Star Wars movie.
Yep.
And Dan, always the lover of puns, said, "May the source be with you," in Telegram chat.
I love that one.
Collective groan can be heard around the world. No, I think everybody appreciates Dan as a regular dude. He could be a robot, just he's really studied the human race and the human humor very thoroughly, and knows how to do these puns. We don't know. Yeah, so
I'd like to think that he's just waiting back and to use them. You
think he writes them down every time he thinks of one?
Yeah.
Oh, let me write the source. Or do you think he just goes right to Telegram and right away just spits it out there whenever he can?
He is Dan. It could just pop up to him like that, yeah.
Probably so, yeah. So yeah, Dawn 3.0, a huge deal. We've all been waiting for it. There's more to come, really, because they're still squashing out bugs.
A couple things that Dan mentioned on that post and in the Telegram too. So a couple quotes that we took was, one token on many chains means no EOS X coins. They will all transfer across. Use EOS to stake on side chains. Also, side chains would be a permission network and would not have a 51% attack vector. Yeah, so they're also thinking about attack vectors on these side chains as well too. So
it's true. Thank you for bringing up the security part of the post that he made. Yes, they're working hard to make it the most secure blockchain of any. So, yeah, as you said, 2/3 as opposed to 51%. Of course, the governance also helps with that, just in terms of avoiding those problems before they become 2/3 or more.
Yeah.
So it's a lot going into this.
The other thing that stood out to me on the post, among all of the other amazing things, was the simplified smart contract development. So they mentioned that they have quite a lot of support for C++ standard template library. This basically means developers can use the tools, libraries, and algorithms they're familiar with, while eliminating the potential for bugs caused by non-standard implementation of these algorithms. So, I mean, C++ is, in the industry, it used to be the de facto language. Java took that over, I think, in the 2000s, or maybe a little later than that. But C++ used to be the language back in the day, and everything that needed strong software engineering was built on C++. And there have been some weaknesses for it, but they've been mostly largely in part been remediated over the time, especially as we're into 2018. So C++ is just going to be a beast of a language to code on, especially that they have so much support for it. So EOS looks like it's going to have a lot of developer support.
Yeah, and actually we've seen Brendan Bloomer in the Telegram. He's been talking about how they have been working hard to hire developer relations groups and also developer support and documentation groups. They're trying to make sure that everything is as easy to learn as possible. So that is still to come, more documentation on how the how to write great smart contracts and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
And if anyone wants to go, hasn't seen the Medium post, check it out. It was just amazing. So we won't cover everything here. We have to move on, but
Yeah. Let's go on to the community hackathon. Oh, actually, we should mention the block.one hackathon, right? They had a few announcements during their, so they had Dawn 3.0, and then they also had their Hong Kong party, I guess you could call it, /event/meetup. And they had
another
a bunch of
VC.
announcements there. Another VC, an Asian specific one where it's $200 million.
Yeah.
$200 million for development on EOS.io software. Amazing. That's incredible. They also had an announcement about their hackathon. So they're holding 4 different events throughout the rest of the year, starting after June. And there are 4 different cities. It's $1.5 million total prize pool. $500,000 goes directly to the winner. And so they brought in 5 of the top GitHub contributors, community contributors, to fly into Hong Kong to be a part of the hackathon. And I believe Sheldon was in there as well.
Oh, wow.
Sheldon, we always give a shout out to him. He's been on the show saying hello with his Eos Shenzhen meetup. So, and I think he was also there at the Hong Kong event. I believe I've talked to him a little bit, and he said it was enormous. We saw pictures on Telegram from people who were there, and it looks like it was very professional, and it was in a massive building in Hong Kong.
I could just picture Sheldon being right in the middle of the dance floor right now.
Oh man, I don't know if that's his style, but I think he's more, he prefers a steady routine, hardworking, things like that, and he's an extremely hardworking guy. So anyway, moving forward here, let's look to Soros prepares to invest in cryptocurrency. And he claims the bubble was in January. And now the $26 billion man is preparing to allow the Soros fund to trade in cryptocurrency. What were your thoughts on this particular announcement from Bloomberg?
To trade. I'm not 100% sure. It's good that other monies are coming in. However, I don't know what the purpose of it is. Is it like investing in projects, or is it going to be to trade and make market making type of volume? And I'm not 100% sure about this. I think it's positive news, definitely.
Yeah, anytime people hear about big money possibly coming into blockchain, it becomes big news very quickly.
Yeah.
As we know, crypto markets are unregulated, and so there's a lot of strange things that can go on. I personally don't try to keep up with them too much because the EOS price channel does it for me, and I like to jump in there and just watch their memes as the price goes either up or down. So, and to me, that's where it's going. It's either up or down, and big deal. So, and unfortunately, we've seen a lot of manipulation with the markets lately. There will be some whale that will just buy up a whole bunch all at once. You'll see the price rocket up $400 for Bitcoin all at once. And then everybody starts buying in, right? Because they think the price is going up. And then that same person possibly will sell a whole bunch all at once, or they'll close a whole bunch of shorts, whatever the case is, right? So
I wonder if people lock up their tokens for leasing, it would reduce that volatility.
It's a good point. I suppose there'll be fewer tokens on the market. Mm-hmm. I guess that could actually reduce liquidity. So if there is a big whale, he could push the market around a little easier. But I mean, who knows? Hopefully, I'm hoping, I don't know. Regulation, right? It's either a good thing or a bad thing. There are some aspects where we have a lot of smaller investors who are losing money because they are chasing these ups and downs. That's market manipulation at its finest, and that is why it is illegal in a lot of jurisdictions. So, long story short is don't have a good answer for you. We'll see about the token leasing with Shintai. Hopefully there is less of that going on by the time we have everything available.
And there was, so moving on, Kev, there was also a community hackathon announced and teased out there. I think more details are coming, but we did see the emergence of a community-run hackathon.
Yeah, and I think the idea around that is, so the block.one hackathon is great. It's huge, right? And it's in locations throughout the world, but it's not a global online hackathon. And so the community felt it was time for a global one where everybody could participate from anywhere, right? They could sit at home and where they're most comfortable, where they have everything they need, and they can go ahead and make their best possible effort. Or they can gather with their friends and do that there, or gather online with their friends. So we'll see. It's going to be pretty exciting to watch this unfold. I know it's in the process. We're about to find out more, I believe, in the next few days or weeks. So yeah, definitely everybody keep your ears and eyes open for that. Let's go into, so we're going back into cryptocurrency in general. Centracoin and Floyd Mayweather, those founders that made the Centracoin, were arrested because of a fraudulent ICO. I don't know a whole lot about Centracoin. I know they were claiming that they could offer debit cards for cryptocurrency, and they claimed they had all these different Visa partnerships and MasterCard, and you know how this all went with the ICOs. There was a lot of different scams out there, unfortunately. Naturally, this particular one did not deliver on their promises. It turned out they had fake team members, and they also did not actually have, just pull a picture and put some random name up there, I guess, and then make up.
Floyd Mayweather was associated with it.
Yeah, I think they either paid Floyd directly and got him to post it on Instagram. And so that was back in, I think, August or somewhere around there. He shilled Centracoin for them on his Instagram page. And and now those founders are going to jail. So moving on to the Hong Kong meetup. We already talked about that. The block.one recap. They made a Medium article, block.one did. And you can go and check all the different announcements and read more about the event itself if you'd like to go do that. Last piece of news is Novogratz. This is brand new, breaking news. We just heard about it before coming on the show. Another Goldman Sachs executive dumps Wall Street for the crypto world is the title on this CNBC article. Early crypto investor Mike Novogratz hired Richard Kim from Goldman Sachs as the new COO of his crypto merchant bank, Galaxy Digital, which we are all familiar with because Galaxy Digital has thrown in $325 million towards EOS developed projects. This is pretty interesting. What are your thoughts there, Blue Jays?
I mean, this is normal. People move around, and it could be significant, but it could also be just normal moving around too within the industry. I think it's positive. Definitely, we have somebody who were in the higher ranks of Goldman Sachs that has moved over to the crypto world, and I think that's great. He probably sees a great potential and a good career move. It's a good career move for him. Sure.
Yeah, and as we've talked about before, any kind of Wall Street news that moves into cryptocurrency becomes a big deal. In the cryptocurrency world, that is. The Wall Street world probably doesn't care.
Yeah.
I think that EOS is supposed to be, or we believe it will be, the next version of the internet, basically, right? So I think news like this will come more frequently. And you heard David Packham talk earlier from Shintai. He mentioned how he believes the community could be quadruple in size by the end of the year, right?
Absolutely.
So our little group, we will not be quite so close. I guess after a while, we'll still remember the good old days, but there'll be a lot of unknown names coming in as well, which will be fun. It'll be fun. I can't wait.
Right.
But, yeah, I'm excited. Well, I'm always excited. So.
We'll be saying, hey, you remember when the EOS website was dark and it had all this stuff shining behind the chestahedron, right?
People will say, "What chestahedron? What is that?"
Yeah,
because that new trademarked logo they have on the EOS IO. Yeah. And so let's go to meetups, of course. So Bangkok has a meetup coming up. Let's check and see when that date is. And you heard Thomas Cox. So he's going to a bunch of meetups. He has sort of a run coming up here in the next couple weeks, all around the country. So EOS Bangkok is actually happening, or it might have already happened. That was today, April 9th, 6:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. in Bangkok, which means it already went on. It's now April 10th for them, I believe. So what else do you have there, Blue Jays, for your meetups?
I think that's it, other than the ones that Thomas mentioned that are upcoming.
Yeah. EOS Nottingham, I should say. They have one coming up. They have not firmed up a date specifically, but they are working on one. And they're actually looking to bring over more folks from Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple. They have kind of a meetup that's spreading out beyond just EOS to try and bring those folks in.
Excellent.
To try and bring more talent into EOS. So it's great that we're seeing a lot of community members bring in folks from outside EOS world. You mentioned before how we don't want to be an echo chamber. We want that constructive criticism, and we want some debate, and we also want outside thoughts. For example, EOS New York bringing in that great economist, Forbes 30 under 30 economist is advising their team. So we can only benefit from that, I would say.
Absolutely.
I should also mention actually the Eos Charlotte Meet-Up in North Carolina. Thomas Cox will be on video for that one. I'm going to go down there. I live in Durham, North Carolina, and they've asked me to give a little talk, which is flattering. So I'm going to do my best. I have a little presentation I'll put together, and I'll meet everybody there. Should be very exciting.
Where are you going?
Charlotte, North Carolina. They have a
wow.
meetup April 27th. It's a Friday, and it's 6:30 to 8:30, April 27th. So if you guys want to hang out, yeah, I'd love to meet everybody, and looking forward to that. And we'll wave hi to Thomas on the video chat as he gives the main presentation of the night. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, Blue Jays. What are your final thoughts?
I was just super happy with release candidate 1. I just like Eric well said, there's just so much in there. There's just so much meat in what was delivered, and they're just block.one and the team are just thinking, and the community are just thinking of all the ways of making this thing successful. And I'm just proud to be part of it.
Yeah, great way to put it. Proud to be part of it. I am as well, of course. And I'm looking forward as well. I believe governance will become the next big issue, or big topic, I should say, for block.one and for Dan and for, of course, Thomas. I expect or hope that we'll see more about that coming out very soon. Now that they've put out release candidate 1, they can sort of shift their focus. I'm sure they've taken a nice deep breather at this point. And, one of my favorite quotes from the Telegram was on Friday during the Hong Kong meetup announcement. Dan was in there cracking jokes, and it was about 6:30 in the morning Dan time, Okay. So anyway, Sandwich was on stage, and he was giving out the information from the post, from the Medium post that Dan put out. And Dan said, he may sound cheesy, but there's a lot of meat in there. Making fun, talking about Sandwich, you're giving a little joke about Sandwich. So, Dan is in a good mood. That's what I'm taking from all this.
Yeah, exactly. I've delivered my code. I can now be,
I was like, woo!
Kick back
with a do. A do in the Telegram, EOS General Chat. And also, not to mention EOS Price. He's been hanging out in there a lot.
Wow.
And that Dan-only message bot does not pick up his messages in EOS Price. So he goes wild in there.
I'd like to see Dan comment and say "when moon." That just blow everyone's mind.
He answered it the other day.
Oh, did?
Someone said, at Daniel Larimer, when moon? And he said, according to Google, the next big moon is going to be April 23rd or sometime. It's going to rise tomorrow at 3:20 a.m. or something. Typical Dan. So
imagine actually being a when moon type person and getting that answer.
And just going, maybe let me ask about Lambos instead.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens this coming week. Let's look forward to more governance. I'm sure Thomas will be busier and busier. He'll have more and more questions to answer. If you have any questions for him, please look on the forums. We always make a weekly post. It's already up, and you can put your questions there. You can look back at what other questions have already been asked, or go back and watch the old videos from him, so we know we're not asking the same questions of Thomas. What else should folks look into there, Blue Jays?
Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube.
Yep. And of course, the community updates on Telegram, we just offer an announcement channel only, so you can sort of filter out the important updates. We put everything up there as well. Thank you guys for joining us on episode 7.
Thanks, everybody. It was a great show, and thanks for joining us.
And go EOS.
Go EOS.